Hello and welcome to another Black Girl in a Big Dress episode, Teacup. Pinkies up. So this magazine is actually one of my favorite props in the series. There's a companion magazine that you'll see in season 2. I do not own an English home yet. It's totally on my vision board. But my Instagram feed is basically like half other web series and my other creative friends, and then half Victorian home restorations, giant English manors for sale. There are multiple real estate agents in the UK I follow who deal primarily in these grand homes. It's gonna happen one day. It's going to happen. Did I see that you got that cast iron skillet you wanted?
Yeah.
This morning, that French toast you were making smelled amazing. Amazing. Was that Nutella?
Some.
So Tiffany is a very good actor. And during this beat, it was genuinely very intimidating for me to try and talk to her because her energy was just great. It was perfect. She was not here for it. The actor was, the character wasn't, you get what I'm saying. But those moments are always really fun too, when you are working with someone and you've worked with them before and you know what they're capable of and you know that it looks good on screen, but when you actually feel the actual emotion that they are presenting for you, it's wonderful. It's like the best thing about performance. It's such a wonderful dance to do with someone, and I'm super thrilled that I get to do it. You are wonderful with Brussels sprouts. They're really good.
What do you want?
That guy Sean at work, he asked me out.
Oh. Girl, you didn't say you actually had something to talk about.
Yeah, maybe you were right. Maybe a quiet evening at home is better.
Black Sean asked you out?
Do we know a white Sean?
No, but I do know you've never dated a black guy.
So yes, this question. The answer to the question, I will try to frame it in the positive, is that yes, all of the people who I have dated have been not of color. That makes sense, right? But yeah, if you followed my work before when I was doing the Oreo Experience, which was a blog and character one-woman show, kind of talking about some of these same issues, that came up a lot. I actually had a video that I had to hide because I talked about the fact that I haven't ever dated a black guy before, and the amount of hate and vitriol it got was insane. It was the victim of a number of coordinated attacks, and I actually had to take the video down, which is crazy. But yeah, people often ask why, and mainly it's just numbers and odds. Number one, I haven't dated that many people, and I'm kind of a serial monogamist, so I tend to be with one person for a really long time. So the odds of me dating anyone in particular are slim. Also, dating is just hard, you guys. And when anyone connects with anyone for any period of time, it is an absolute miracle. I'm impressed that the human race has made it this far. Oh my God, did you feel that? Was that an earthquake? Oh, it's crazy. Speaking of shaking things up, did you know that the new color of the season is taupe? Taupe! Totally caught me off guard. I should buy like 6 new overskirts. So annoying.
You have to go out with him.
Because he's black?
Yes.
That's racist.
No, it's racist if you don't go out with him because he's black.
So there's actually a really fun story about a time when I went on a talk show to talk about interracial dating, and it went super wrong. So a number of years ago, producers from the show found my blog and invited me to come on the show to talk about interracial dating. And I thought that would be great. It's something I love talking about. I thought I would come on the show, we'd tell some funny anecdotes, and that would be that. And when they recruited me, that is definitely what they told me. But once I got to set, it was a total bait and switch. So I arrived on set and kind of planning to be myself, and I had my little stories ready. I had shot a video for them kind of explaining what I just talked about, how I haven't dated that many people in general, and I do niche hobbies like Renaissance fairs and swing dancing. There's just like not a ton of black guys there. It's not my fault. And when I got on stage, cameras were rolling, we were taping. They had recut that video to make me look like an absolute racist, deluded, snobby, elitist villain. And they played the video, and then when they ended the video, everyone in the audience, which was like 300 people, just started booing me. Just boo! Now, I've been on stage a ton. I've certainly done shows that weren't great, but I have never been booed, and certainly not by hundreds of people at once. But I told a couple jokes, I got the audience back on my side, but they continued to cast me as this villain, and it was awful. And before I went on the show, I told the producers that I did not want to date anyone. I did not want to go on a date. I wasn't seeing anyone at the time, but I just didn't want that part of my life to be on TV. So they said that was fine. But then during the taping, they found a guy in the audience who kind of had a similar background to me. He did some niche hobbies, and then the host was like, "Oh, this guy's just like you. Do you want to go on a date with him?" And I was like, "No, I told your producers I wasn't going to go on a date with anybody." And the host was like, "Is it that, or is it because he's black?" And I said, "Nope, it's literally because I don't want to go on a date with anyone at this show." And then the audience starts screaming, "Go out with him, go out with him, go out with him." And the host is screaming, "Go out with him, go out with him." And all hundreds of people are sort of demanding that I go out with this guy. And part of me wanted to do it just to get it over with, but luckily I am just that stubborn. And so I said no, and definitively. And then they did not speak to me for the rest of the taping. It was amazing. I did not play the role they wanted me to play, and they were furious. And then, thankfully, I was essentially cut out of the episode. I have a feeling some producer may have gotten fired over that, but I don't feel that bad about it. It was a rough day. I haven't not gone out with a black guy because I'm racist. He's the first one to ever ask me out.
That is impossible.
Until about 10:45 today, I thought that Soulange was a wine region.
Fair enough. But you have to go out with him. It'll change your life. You did say yes to him, right?
I mean, I didn't say no, but he also didn't even really ask me out. He just suggested we hook up in a public place.
Even better.
The only reason I even kind of said yes was so that Lord Fitzhugh would find out and get jealous enough to finally ask me out.
You'd rather go out with a guy that plays dress up than with a guy that doesn't.
So one of the things that is genuinely so fun to play with at reenactment events, and I encourage everyone to give it a try if you haven't, is this high level of etiquette and formality, and yes, getting to play with the rules of old school courtship. Now, look, there are some things about the past that were terrible, like slavery and no rights for women and no drugs for illness and things like that. I'm very happy with things that we have in the present 100%. And also, it's really fun to play with parts of the past that are fun to explore and think about. And one of the things that I did not realize was going to be a thing when I started going to dances was one of the elements of courtship was the fact that you never really touched anybody else, and certainly not a man. And so you go to these dances and you're all dressed up very formally. The men are in coats and pants and shirts, and of course they're wearing pants, but you know what I mean. It's lots of layers. And then you, as a lady, are also, should you choose to dress this way, are also in lots of layers, and they're thick and they're rigid, and then you have gloves on as well. And so you go to these, and one of the first times I went to one of these dances was there with all these layers on and gloves on all night. You're dancing, and you're kind of touching people a little bit as you're dancing. But then at the end of the night, you're getting back in the car, you start to take off some layers. I took off my gloves and shook someone's hand. And it was the first time that I had had skin-to-skin contact in just a few hours. And it was genuinely, it was really intense. And so it's amazing to imagine truly how intense courtship would have been, because you were so removed from someone you might have been courting, and those incredibly rare instances when you would get to touch would have been absolutely electric. I just don't think Sean is my type.
Because he's black?
Because if someone is going to ask me out, I want them to ask me on a proper date. Be a gentleman about it, not just offer to bone me in the toxic soup of a public hot tub before never speaking to me again.
Oh, get out the costumes and grow up.
This is not a costume, darling. It's a way of life.
What?
I said, maybe you're right. I'll go out with Sean And I'm sure everything will be delightful. I'm sure a marvelous time will be had by everyone.
Yes. You'll get you some, sneak out before he wakes up, stop by the store, get some chocolate chip gelato ice cream for your cousin. Everything ain't gotta be a fairy tale.
I'll let you know how it goes. Oh, before I forget, I shared your post about the mini quiches with my guild, so you should be getting some new followers soon.
I'll look for those too.
There's 20,000 of us.
What?
A lot of people like fairy tales. And we host a shit ton of events. This is actually very true. I've only been dipping my toes in the reenactment waters for a couple of years, really just since I started doing this show. And I try to go to as many things as possible for research and learning, and there are a lot. Like multiple events a week. Every week I see pictures of people I know at yet another event. There's a lot of stuff. I know this is Los Angeles, it's a big city, but even still, truly a lot of events.
Thank you.
But you will have to learn to make a perfect apple charlotte because we are ruthless about our puddings.
I can make a perfect
Ruthless. This is one of the things that I love about this character is that she spends so much time being polite and cordial and controlled, but sometimes you hit that button and she totally snaps. Is that true to who I am as a person? What a funny question. Let's just keep watching.